It's 4:30 and this is WKYT This Morning, and we're glad you're on the air with us this morning. A guilty verdict has come down in a Lexington murder case, and we'll have the story. Also, the sentencing has been set as well in that case.
Also, we have the latest on that gator attack. A 2-year-old boy, his body's actually been recovered from that area in Magic Kingdom in Orlando, Florida. We'll have the latest.
And there's going to be some cleanup from some storms and some power outages reported overnight in Lexington, and we'll have the latest forecast and all the news.
This is WKYT This Morning.
Good morning to you and welcome. It's good to have you with us here on this Thursday on WKYT. Hopefully the weather has settled down now. I'm Bill Bryant.
I'm Rebecca Smith, and let's get the latest check of the weather with Micah.
Yeah, and we're going to be seeing temperatures today right there in the upper 80s to around 90 degrees again. And not only that, but a couple of rumbles of thunder. I think most of us, though, are actually dry. We hit throughout the afternoon. Watch out for one of those rumbles of thunder to roll on through. It could be strong, heavy downpours, and the best chance is really south of I-64. And you get into the afternoon with those rumbles here and there. We're going to hold on to those temperatures once again in the upper 80s to around 90 degrees. We did have a storm yesterday, and that actually gave us some power outages across the region. We're looking at close to 5,700 power outages across the region. So that's what we saw right around 8 to 9 p.m. last night. And that was mainly for the east side of town. It was mainly the Hamburg region and surrounding areas. And we actually just got power up just about 3 hours ago. So it was a long duration of these power outages, but now things are getting squared away. Once again, guys, we still have a couple more rumbles of thunder to go through later on today. So we're going to be talking about that, and also your weekend forecast looks phenomenal. I'll get into that coming up.
Looking for those improvements, and we'll see in just a little bit. We have some breaking news in Lexington this morning. Police have been locked in a standoff for some time near Cambridge Drive. This has been going on for about 4 hours or so. It started about 12:30 this morning.
And they say a child is still inside the home. We have crews at the scene. We'll continue to have updates for you on this story, on this standoff. As soon as we get them, we'll continue to bring them for you all morning long on WKYT This Morning. Well, it took a little more than 3 hours for a Fayette County jury to find a man guilty of murder and the death of his friend. Lexington police say Mark Taylor killed Alex Johnson in 2013 and stuffed his body in a barrel. And last night, the jury deliberated again to determine Taylor's sentence. And Monique Blair has the latest from the Fayette County Courthouse.
The jury deliberated for about 3 hours before coming back into the courtroom with a recommended sentence for Mark Taylor. The jury recommends Taylor serve 22 years for murder, 22 years for kidnapping, and 5 years for tampering with physical evidence. But before the jury reached that sentence, they heard once again from both the prosecution and from the defense.
We, the jury, find the defendant guilty of intentional murder under instruction number 3.
Shortly after 4 o'clock today, a Fayette County jury found Mark Taylor guilty of murder, kidnapping, and tampering with physical evidence. Taylor didn't have much of a reaction to that verdict. Following the verdict reading, there was a sentencing phase. During that time, Alex Johnson's mother took the stand to talk about the struggle she's had since her son was murdered.
Thoughts of suicide crossed my mind. You know, I wanted to follow Alex, but I couldn't because I could never hurt my family like that.
The defense then put 6 people on the stand, each of them testifying to Mark Taylor's character.
He's amazing. He's compassionate to a fault where everyone deserves a chance to be known.
But during closing arguments, the prosecution said Taylor's family only knew his good side.
What kind of person, after killing their best friend over drugs, of all things, stuffs their body in a barrel?
In Lexington, Monique Blair, WKYT.
Well, the jury recommended Taylor serve the 3 sentences consecutively, which would be a total of 49 years. He'll be formally sentenced on July 22nd. An Indiana pastor has been arrested in Kentucky. Investigators say he drove to Franklin County to have sex with a minor. The Attorney General's office says 46-year-old David Brown was arrested in Frankfort yesterday morning. Investigators say he talked to an undercover investigator posing as a minor through an online messenger. They say Brown asked the person for sex. Investigators say he drove to Frankfort thinking he would be having sex with a minor, but instead, they say police were waiting to arrest him. They say Brown told them he's the head pastor of the First Christian Church of Jeffersonville, Indiana. We're learning more about a sad ending to the search for a 2-year-old boy who was dragged into a Florida lagoon by an alligator. Police say they have found the body of that little boy.
Yeah, we knew it didn't look good throughout the day yesterday. We first told you about this attack yesterday morning. Police say the boy was playing in some shallow water near Disney's Grand Floridian Resort when he was attacked Tuesday night. The boy and his family were at the resort on vacation. Marley Hall has the story.
After mounting a massive search by air and along the shore, authorities say the body of a toddler snatched by an alligator at a Disney resort has been found.
There's likely no question in my mind that the child was drowned by the alligator.
Investigators say the child, Lane Graves of Elkhorn, Nebraska, was with his parents and sibling playing in shallow lake water at the Grand Floridian last night when the alligator attacked. The boy's father tried desperately to fight off the alligator, but could not save him.
Of course, the family was distraught, but also, I believe, somewhat relieved that we were able to find their son with his body intact.
The sheriff said it was a tough message to deliver to the family. He was asked to pass on their thanks.
They do appreciate all of the prayers that have gone forward.
The search for the alligator will continue.
There's a good chance we already have the alligator. We're going to go through the process and forensics and make certain. And if we can't get a certain match, we're going to continue to go out and look for alligators.
No swimming signs were posted in the area of the attack. Many are questioning whether more needs to be done to prevent this from happening again. Marley Hall, CBS News, Lake Buena Vista, Florida.
Now, people who know the Graves family in Nebraska say they are devastated about what happened to Lane.
As the day went on, to find out that he had been found. Obviously some comfort in knowing that they were able to recover him and be able to bring him back to Nebraska.
In a statement, Disney said the company is devastated and heartbroken by what happened, and they're going to do what they can to try to help out the family. Police say 5 alligators were removed from that lagoon and euthanized during the search. Also in Orlando, investigators are continuing to take a closer look at the wife of the gunman who police say killed 49 people at a gay nightclub. They say the shooter, Omar Mateen, posted a warning on Facebook moments before the attack, talking about the Islamic State vengeance. Investigators say his wife, Noor Salman, drove with him when he cased the Pulse nightclub. And sources say there is surveillance video of her buying ammunition with her husband. Investigators say Salman told them that she tried to talk her husband out of the attack. The Orlando attack has nightclubs in Lexington taking a closer look at their security. Managers of 2 bars downtown say they plan to meet with Lexington's police chief tomorrow and go over police patrols along with safety and security protocols. Last night, people going to bars around the city told us they generally feel safe when they're out on the town, and Sunday's attack doesn't change that. But they say they're glad that bars in Lexington are taking their security seriously.
It's sad that we have to have that kind of security for when people go to have a good time. You know, usually when you think of a bar, you think of like maybe a few people get drunk and then go and fight or, you know, something like that. But you don't ever think about people being murdered at a massacre, and it's just really sad to hear about that.
Lexington police say they will have an increased presence at the city's upcoming Pride Festival, which is on June 25th.
Well, friends and family will gather today to remember a man who was killed a week ago in Lexington. It happened early last Thursday morning on East Maxwell Street. Police say 27-year-old Douglas Jordan and a woman were walking down the sidewalk when a man shot Jordan in the head. He was taken to the hospital where he later died. Family tell us he was in his last semester at Bluegrass Community and Technical College, where he was getting a teaching and coaching degree. The visitation for Jordan will be today from 11 to 1, the service right after. Both will be held at the Lewis County High School, and that's in the auditorium there in Vanceburg. So far, police have not made any arrest in this case. Well, new this morning, a Southern Kentucky mother's been arrested. Police say they found her child walking alone on a street. The Laurel County Sheriff's Office charged 24-year-old Felicia Gaines with wanton endangerment and endangering the welfare of a minor. Deputies say they found her 5-year-old daughter walking alone near her home on Slate Lick Street. They say the child told them that she was going to her uncle's house. Deputies say they found Gaines sleeping in her home. They say she had slurred speech and appeared to be under the influence. A hearing in the case of a missing Nelson County mother has been delayed. Crystal Rogers disappeared last July. Police say her boyfriend, Brooks Houck, is a suspect in the case, but he's not been charged. Investigators want his grandmother to testify before a grand jury, but she's refused to talk. That led to a hearing being scheduled yesterday, but prosecutors asked that it be postponed because they say they need more time to decide what questions to ask his grandmother. The hearing has been delayed until the end of July.
The time is 4:40 as folks are waking up after a dark and somewhat stormy night in many sections of our area, and WKYT This Morning is just getting started.
We're talking how to protect your family from the Zika virus coming up in today's Mom's Everyday Minute.
We're quiet right now, but once we hit the afternoon off into the evening, we still have a chance at a couple of rumbles of thunder. Now, when that moves on out, then it's going to be really nice, and I'll show you all that coming up next.
Now, your hour-by-hour forecast with meteorologist Micah Harris.
It's a nice start to the morning after a loud afternoon and also evening hours like we had yesterday. For some of us, it wasn't all of us, but for some. And we also had some lightning strikes that caused a few problems, a few power outages across the region, especially here in the east side of Lexington. But now that is all on out of here. So it's long gone. What we're going to be expecting as we go through the day, a couple more rumbles of thunder. Now, I don't expect anything like yesterday, especially for the northern zones, but I would say southern zones today actually has the better opportunity of actually seeing some rain from this piece of energy. You still have the low pressure system to the north of us, and that'll throw a trailing cold front right down into the region, and that will knock down temperatures tomorrow off into your weekend. Not so much today, though. We're talking 60s early this morning. It's not a bad feel. It's 65 degrees here in Lexington, 68 right now in Laurel County, and that goes for Estill County, and that works your way into Rockcastle, back toward Lincoln and Casey County. Jackson and Breathitt coming in the mid-60s. Then by the afternoon, we're at 88 degrees. Now, we'll have a mixture of sun and clouds for most of us, but we can't rule out a couple of rumbles of thunder. So I'd say that 64 corridor and south, that is your best chance to actually see some of these rumbles. We have it at 40%, so it's definitely not a great chance of rain. But you get under one of these as this front passes on through, and you will really start to feel those temperatures drop, and also some heavy downpours too. So that's really what we're going to be focusing in on. The slight risk is mainly for far eastern Kentucky, and that is your best opportunity to actually see some of these storms. The farther east you go, the better chance. You saw that marginal risk across the region there from Moorhead all the way down to Somerset and London. That does include Lexington, but remember, the best opportunity is that 64 corridor and southbound. Here's your 7-day in which you can expect. Tomorrow is a small chance of rain. We can't rule it out, especially for east of I-75, and that's just a couple of showers. And then, so most of us stay dry tomorrow, and then Saturday, Sunday, those days look really good. A lot of events coming up. You got Father's Day coming up on Sunday, so it looks pretty good there for the weekend.
Okay, so hopefully we're through with this stuff.
I'm hoping.
We'll see. All right.
Storms out.
Yeah, a few of those scattered power outages is still an issue this morning. 4:46 the time, with summer gearing up and on the way. That means more mosquitoes, and mosquitoes are more than just pests this summer.
Can pose a real threat this summer for sure. Threat of the Zika virus can be pretty scary, especially if it's contracted while pregnant, but the disease can also be prevented. Here's more in today's Mom's Everyday Minute.
Joining me today is Eric Skrzynski from the Health Department. We're talking about Zika. We're talking about it because there's so many concerns, and we really want to break it down with the real information. First of all, what is Zika?
It's a mosquito-borne illness just like West Nile, and what we can do to protect ourselves from that, just like we do every year, is wear long clothing, wear a repellent, fix screens that we have holes in them, and get rid of any standing water that's in our yards so they can't actually breathe there.
The things we know we're supposed to do to prevent mosquitoes are also Zika prevention. Correct. And reassure us, all the health agencies are working together.
This is a concerted between the CDC, the states, the locals. They're having a big push to make sure that we can combat Zika and respond if there is an issue.
All right, and that's very important to know. We've got all the details on how you can prevent Zika on momseveryday.com. For Moms Every Day, I'm Rebecca Rainier.
For these tips and more, go to WKYT.com. Click on Moms Every Day.
Hey, it's good to have you with us on WKYT this morning as we have a lot more news on the way on your Thursday.
Police arrested a man wanted in connection to 7 burglaries in Lexington. We'll have more on that arrest coming up. Welcome back in. It's 4:50. Lexington police arrested a man they say is connected to at least 7 burglaries around the city.
Police say they caught 50-year-old Victor Littleton early yesterday morning after a burglary at a Speedway gas station on Tates Creek Road. In the last month, police say Littleton also broke into Ferguson Enterprises, Ms. Holly's Barbershop, the tennis store of Lexington, and Big B Liquors. The last 2 businesses were broken into twice. One victim says the arrest is welcome news.
Really relieved. It was nice to know that we got one more off the street, I guess, you know, and just to know that the police department is doing their job. You know, they do a fantastic job protecting us.
Police think Littleton may also be connected to other burglaries in Lexington, Georgetown, Nicholasville, and Versailles. New information about a Florida double murder suspect arrested here in Kentucky. Prosecutors in Florida now say they plan to seek the death penalty against Michael Harold. They say in April he killed John and Nancy Englehart at the couple's home near Tampa. Harold worked for the couple, but he is originally from Perry County in eastern Kentucky. State police here say that's where they arrested him a few days after the murders. An Indiana man arrested on weapons and ammunition charges before a gay pride event in California faces new charges now. Prosecutors in Clark County, Indiana, near Louisville, have charged 20-year-old James Howell with child molestation. Investigators say last month, Howell took a 12-year-old girl to a forest and had sex with her. Police in California say Howell had an assault weapon and explosives and told them that he was heading to a gay pride event when they arrested him on Sunday.
More than 20 suspected drug dealers were taken off the streets during a roundup in Pulaski County. The sheriff says yesterday's arrests are the result of undercover drug buys over the last 3 months. Investigators say the suspects dealt oxycodone, heroin, and meth. Some of the suspects have been arrested before. Police say none of them put up a fight when they were arrested.
There's always a possibility that during the service of those warrants that you could encounter anything you don't know, because these folks often are under the influence of the drugs themselves.
Police say all the suspects were taken to jail on a $25,000 cash or property bond. We'll have a full list of those arrested if you're interested on our website, WKYT.com. Some excitement in Harlan County this week as filming of a movie continues there. The movie is called Above Suspicion. It's been filmed in Lexington recently. It tells the story of an FBI agent convicted of strangling his informant in Pike County. Some storefronts in Harlan were changed to make them look like Pikeville in the late 80s and early 90s. And business owners say the filming has brought a lot of excitement.
You know, we've had so many financial hardships, and it's good to see production and just to have some movement through our town again.
Well, the film crew was scheduled to wrap up their work in Harlan yesterday before moving on to other filming locations. Pretty cool stuff for that town.
Well, it's interesting, you know,
yes,
to kind of redo and retrofit everything so that it looks like those days. 4:53 our time this morning. Coming up, we'll have a look at what's going on this morning and update you on the forecast.
We'll also have another look at your morning forecast. So let's talk weather. Going to have a nice weekend.
That's the good part. Things have calmed down. We had those storms overnight. We have some power outages. Some power still being restored in Lexington over on the east side of town. Let's check in right now with Micah.
Yeah, and the good news is those storms have moved on out. The bad news is we still have another couple of rumbles of thunder to go through later on this afternoon, and it's especially for I-64 southbound. That is your best bet. Down toward the southeastern zones, that's where you have the better opportunity for severe weather. Maybe an isolated severe cell. It's a very, very low risk for today. 65 degrees now in Lexington. We're at 64 now in Rowan County. You guys in Rowan County, there was a storm that popped up yesterday right around 10 a.m. to about 11 a.m. and it funneled through the northern zones. And you guys, if you were under that, you picked up 1 to 1.5 inches of rain with that storm. It was very, very heavy with the rain. Now we're looking toward the afternoon. Remember, a couple of rumbles of thunder. I'm going to show you exactly where I expect these storms and also when the cooler air drives on in here coming up.